Welcome to E3, Engage and Empower with Empathy, a podcast brought to you by the Empathy Collective, a consulting firm that helps business leaders inspire change, one conversation at a time. I am your host and founder of the Empathy Collective, Rebecca Dreameye, and we are building a community of like-minded leaders and experts who all share the same passion, taking care of people at work. Whether you are a blue-collar worker or white-collar worker, small business owner or corporate executive, you belong in this community. Today's episode is about a moment of profound honesty, the kind where life as you know it feels like it's closing in, and all you can do is sit in stillness and ask, is this really it? That's exactly where my guest and founder of the Enlightened Success Institute, Lin Yuan-Su, found herself one June morning in 2017, sitting in her car, staring at the door to her workplace, and feeling as if she were looking into a black hole. Her marriage was on autopilot, her health was slipping, and she felt like she was missing her toddler's childhood. She had built a career, but somewhere along the way, she had lost herself. But in just 11 minutes, through one simple, empathetic conversation with a friend, everything began to change. That exchange of compassion and deep listening sparked a journey of transformation that has led Lin to dedicate her life to helping others rediscover their purpose and light. In this conversation, we'll talk about how empathy can be the catalyst that shifts us from despair to hope, from stuck to free, and from living a life of obligation to creating a life we truly love. This is E3, Engage and Empower with Empathy. Welcome to the show, Lin. It is really a delight to have you here. I know we were talking offline how much I love your background. So for those of you watching the video version, you will feel enlightened after this conversation, even more so than our listeners who are just listening to the audio version, because wow, I got a boost of energy as soon as Lin dialed into this episode.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Yes, it's as you can tell, I love sparkly stuff. Gold, give it to me. And I feel that's life is regardless whether you wear a lot of sparkle or not, is inside of us. That's sparkle of life that I love. I love evoking. I love, sharing with others. And obviously for all of your audiences and listeners, this is my opportunity to channel this higher wisdom that is way smarter than I am, so they can have this sparkly moment or two.
I love that. And I love that your whole journey is all about empathy, which makes you such a good fit for this podcast. Self-empathy that you uncovered through your personal strifes and trauma. And then you were able to harness that into empathy for others. And on your website, you describe yourself as a registered dietitian turned transformational success coach. So you start in healthcare and then you just somehow end up in coaching at some point. Clearly there was a transition happening or some sort of mindset shift. What happened there?
Yeah, I was born, raised in China, and I came to Canada when I was 20 years old. As many other Chinese students, almost fresh out of high school, waited for my visa for a year. It all worked out and landed here in a strange country, speaking strange language that I didn't master at the time yet. And very different culture, very different food, as food is part of culture. Yet I was very much looking forward to this new chapter. I was here for university pursue my post-secondary education. I chose to study nutrition for a few reasons. One is that the primary reason is because I love food. Like I love food. I'm a foodie. New food, interesting food. I love food. And I have always been very curious of what happens after you eat it. This human body, medicine, healthcare, our physiology, they're so interesting. It's a magnificent thing we operate from. Combining both passion and curiosity together, I chose to study nutrition. What I didn't know was that first year university, here comes a professor. She was a department chair. Big deal to me. And she said, if you're studying nutrition, you want to become a registered dietitian. I was relatively new to Canada. I had never heard of the term dietitian. I didn't know what it was. But there I was first year in my undergraduate studies, the professor said, you do something for me, you do something. So in that very moment, I made a decision. I'm going to become a whatever the professor just said. So I spent next 6 years, one undergraduate degree, one master degree pursuing to become a registered dietitian. I thoroughly enjoy my entire studying academic journey because I love food. I love medicine and combining and just knowledge. And then I finished that entire journey. I achieved my dream. I was a registered dietitian. I was actually the first one from in Ontario to receive her dietitian license as an international student because no other international students study this subject because they all study business, money related. I just chose, I want to become a dietitian. And I started working right away. I was very fortunate to find a full-time job. That's a career path you follow, right? You do something, you become a registered something, especially when you become a registered of whatever, you stay in that career path for the rest of your life. That's my mindset. That was my belief. But here's the kicker. When I started working, I had a tremendous passion of helping others. That's when empathy comes. I love helping others. I love making other people's day better, their life better. And my tool was to be a registered dietitian, supporting others to improve their health. I was not doing what I thought I would be doing. In that career path, there were so many limitations I felt. A lot of times where I knew nutrition was not on their mind, but I cannot talk about anything else because I'm a regulated healthcare professional. I had a very clear boundary. I had a very clear scope that I had to stay within. But I want to do more. I want to give more. I want to make a more meaningful impact. And from there, that is when this quest of what else that I can do, what else that I meant to do for this with this lifetime. I know it's not dietitian, but I was not brave enough to jump out of it. So I stayed within there for 80 years. I stayed within healthcare for 8 years, keep climbing the ladder, getting more promotion, more raises, thinking, oh, I get more power, then I get a fancier title, then I will be fulfilled. Turned out the thing that I got more and more of was more frustration, more disappointment, and more stress. But everybody else thought I was so successful. I did not. I called myself being miserably successful until a moment. And in that moment, I had a very low moment crying in my car in an empty parking lot in a bright, beautiful July day in Canada. And I just knew something got to change. I did not know what it was. I did not know what was even my next step. Nowadays, I call it a metaphysical, a spiritual decision. Something got to change. Right after that moment, everything started to shift. I start to have different conversations. I start to be able to look at things differently. I start to attract people who think differently, gradually, one step by another. It felt like a domino effect, and it led me to the realization of I want to be a life coach. And from there, I got certified. I quit my job. That was over 7.5 years ago. I left that career path and to where I am today.
That's incredible, and I'm sure for people who are listening right now, maybe feeling stuck themselves, maybe sitting in their car thinking, "I'm about to cry because I don't wanna walk into that office building right now." I mean, what led you to that point of self-discovery where you were like, "This is not who I am?" 'Cause you were saying how you walked into the dietitian environment, into the were you in a hospital, or
I
what
was
was
in
your
a
work environment?
healthcare center. Yeah,
In a healthcare center.
yes.
So you're walking into this building, you start to do the work, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't what I thought it was." What did you think it was? I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yes, full transparency, I didn't know. I didn't have a very clear definition in my consciousness of this is my expectation from my workplace.
Mm,
I never wrote down that list because you're a dietitian. You go into you have patients in front of you. You talk to them based on your knowledge. They have diabetes. You teach them how to carb count. Sorry, I giggle. That's just like it's funny for myself, right? Right in this moment. But that's what I did. You have you have flow, you have structure, you have scope. That is your given way of living life, at least professionally, at least career wise. what I was looking for, I knew something was fulfillment. This sense of what I do matters. What I do is making a positive impact in other people's lives. I was working with a population. The health center is funded to serve low socioeconomic status folks. People are struggling. A lot of them are homeless. A lot of them are struggling with mental health conditions, and nutrition is not on their mind. Their mind is not on, do I eat a salad to be healthy? Or do I not skip this meal so I can get my next fix of drugs? And that is, and many of my clients, they schedule an appointment with me because the family doctors I work with almost threaten them to say, if you don't see a dietitian, I'm going to discharge you. I'm not going to see you anymore. And they have nowhere else to go. They cannot access a general practitioner anywhere else. So they book an appointment with me. Very often they do not show up. Work was so easy. But inside of me, this hollowness start to form, this hole start form because I want to work. I want to help other people. I want to spark this life juice. We are all breathing because there's a power that's breathing us. Yeah, we may have our challenges, but as long as we're breathing, we have more potential. We can create more life that is freer, bigger, more expansive, with whatever you would love in your life. That is possible. And I want to, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. This is awesome. With the population I was working with, that was not happening. Within healthcare, I mean, I'm very grateful for our Canadian healthcare. And there are still limitations where it's very political at times. There's rules about everything. There's regulations about everything. I'm like, I want to be myself, for crying out. I want to be authentic. I want to say what I want to say because I know my words are coming from love. Maybe not 100% very skillful at times. I may tell a joke that other people may not resonate, but I still want to be free. Even to that, in a very rigid, sterilized healthcare system, that was not being fostered. Nothing wrong with that. It's just awareness. All of those combination kind of push me into this spot of, that's where the frustration starts rising up. Feeling stressed out start to rise. I apply for promotions to become a manager, whatever. Because again, I want to help at a place where it matters. And then I have a conversation with the the CEO and the big dogs in the place. I became one of the big dogs, and I just realized, wait a second, I thought I would be able to do ABC. Then I'm being, no, you cannot do it that way because that's not the rule. That's not the regulation. That's not how you can do it. And then the snowball, this frustration and this hollowness of, I'm not fulfilled, start to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why I share my story all the time, because like you said, some of your listeners are sitting there, it's like, she's talking about me, but I haven't cried in my car yet. Let's not get to that point. Let's not get to a point. And it's also not about, right now, go charging to your boss office, say, I quit. It's not about that either. It's to simply connect with a part of you that is curious, that want to do more. And when you connect with your own awareness, because I did not have any of those conscious awareness that I was frustrated, that was why I was frustrated and stressed out, why I had this whole feeling of hole inside of me. I was just focusing on logic. You don't like your job? Suck it up. Push yourself. Keep going because everybody else says you have it so good. You cannot change because you spent 6 years as an international student. You spend all your parents' savings because you got no access to no funding. They had to feed you during all of your years of studying. You cannot quit. You cannot change. You have to be a dietitian. Those thoughts were operating dominantly. Doesn't mean the frustration, stress out were not there. That's where they grow bigger and bigger because I never addressed it. And it took me longer to come to the realization of I can change and there is a different calling. It's okay to change. This is for me, it's different for everybody. Maybe you absolutely are meant to do whatever you're doing right now, but whatever you're feeling is coming from something else. You can only discover what is your truth when you are really go inwards, have empathy for yourself, know yourself, have the awareness. People ask me, what do you do as a life coach? And I at the beginning I'm like, oh, I don't know. Later on, I've created this, I think it's really cool, very authentically me too, description. It's like, imagine you go to the mall, right? And you got to go. You go to the bathroom, you come out. And then you realize people are just like giggling and they're pointing fingers at you. You know they're talking about you, but you don't know why. Here comes the life coach and they approach you, they whisper in your ears, hey, you got toilet paper stuck behind your rear end. And suddenly you're like, oh, that's why people are giggling and pointing fingers. I knew there was a reason. And now you know it's awareness. I'm a life coach doesn't mean I'm better than anybody else. Doesn't mean I'm more successful than anybody else. It's our human ego wants to compare. When we truly come from empathy and compassion, we are all equal. We're all designed equally. We're spiritual beings having our own human experience. We have unique gifts, unique talents, unique stories. And our job is to shine our own unique light. But those toilet papers are dimming that light. When you know, when you're aware they are there, then you can say, all right, what am I going to do with it? You are the highest authority. Maybe you say, you know what? I'm going to yank it out and throw it into the garbage can. Great. Maybe you say, no, this is authentically me. I see it. It's beautiful. It's part of my fashion decor. Excellent. Yet if you don't know, you don't know. How do you know all of that? Turn inwards, take a deep breath, and just, listen to the podcast like yours, and you will hear your own thoughts, and you will grow your own self empathy. When you are able to express that towards yourself, that's when you can truly express that towards others as well.
There's so much I could unpack from what you just said. A lot of really good nuggets. The thing that really struck me was how you had this belief, and I'm sure if I've listeners today who come from immigrant families, and my husband comes from an immigrant family, so I can understand this completely, where you are given this gift of going to another country where there's opportunity to have a good education, and you feel this obligation to go down this path because someone else has supported you. Um, and it reminds me a lot of, gosh, I was trying to think of his name. I think it's Stephen Yi, the comedian on YouTube who's from China,
Yeah,
and
I think I know who
he
you're talking.
basically has a whole platform making fun of his dad. So he plays the role of his dad because he wants to be an actor and his dad wants him to be a lawyer, a
Hmm.
doctor,
Hmm.
the typical stereotype of immigrant parent wants their child to be, in one of the higher professions. So the fact that there's a whole comedic platform around that means that there's clearly some truth to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's followed his authentic path and now he's, got millions of followers on YouTube and I'm sure his dad is rolling his eyes,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
he's making money from it
yeah.
and he's joyful, I'm sure. So I love that you were able to pivot and try to break down some of those beliefs of what other people think. And I loved when you said that. It's all about tuning into yourself, not worrying about what you should do or what other people's expectations are, and really understanding, "Oh, what is this going to do for me? And how is this going to align with my authentic path?" Now, when you were sitting in your car crying, you'd mentioned a moment where you had a conversation with a friend. And this was a really pivotal moment for you. Because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, "Oh my gosh, well, she had this moment in her car, and then somehow she saw the light and she was able to completely shift." What was that conversation? And what made it so transformational for you?
It was a conversation that was truly, like you said, is a pivotal moment for me to have the awareness of really what I would love to do, which is life coaching. Because this friend, she is a life coach. She is a success coach. She supports other entrepreneurs to build incredible businesses. That's what she do. She's very successful, and she was a teacher. That was her professional career. And the beauty of that conversation was that I had a very conscious awareness of what we were talking about. Because here's what I mean. Sometimes we can have a conversation with other people. Our mind is wondering something else. We're not consciously engaged in that's just human design, right? Only 10% of our thinking is in our consciousness. When we are not consciously engaged with certain conversation, whatever, some people may say something that is very life-changing, we might just feel like, whoa, that's awesome. That's very inspirational. And that was that. That was that. Nothing was following through. We don't have that impact in ourselves. But when I had that conversation with her, because I think it's because how miserable I felt, I literally text her as like, do you have time? Can we talk? And she texted me back. She said, I got 11 minutes. And I said, I'll take whatever you have. So I was very consciously focused. At the beginning, I was literally just complaining how bad this workplace is, how bad the CEO was. Poor guy never done anything wrong or whatever. He's just being the boss, right? And I was complaining, but she stopped me and she asked me a question, two questions around the same topic, which is gratitude. She said, can you say one thing you can say you're grateful about your job? And can you say one thing, at least one thing that you're grateful about your boss, the CEO of this health place? And for my job, it was easier because I was still getting paid very well. I still had my fancy title that nobody understand what I was doing. So, but that was easy. Yeah, okay, fine. I'm grateful. And when it comes to my boss, I felt more challenged. But eventually, when I was able to connect with the true gratitude, I was very grateful for him. I was only in the workplace for less than 3 years that he appointed me to a very important management role. That was brand new. Nobody had done it before, and he trusted me. And talking about empathy, he never expressed his feelings at all. It's just like very typical dude, you know? And yet at one point he closed my office door, came to pay a visit, closed the office door, and he told me, just want to let you know, you're doing a great job. Very awkwardly. And I teared up because I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And he run because he couldn't, and he run. And I was pregnant at that time. So I was hormonal already. But because of that moment, I was so grateful for him, for his trust, for his support in those moments. That 11-minute conversation allowed me to have a taste of the power of our mind and the support of somebody else supporting you to redirect your thinking. Because everything, all of our emotions are coming from our thoughts. You think a happy thought, you're happy, regardless of what is going on outside of you. That's exactly what she did. From that moment, I had a taste of the power of my awareness. I want to help others to really connect with their own emotions, with their own awareness of their emotions. And what does it mean to have a coach in your life? So that's my 11-minute conversation. It's not overnight when I had this, low moment of crying in my car, and then I made a decision, and then suddenly everything shifted. It took time. Yet is that clarity of now I know where I'm heading, rather than still get stuck in this, I don't know, I hate my job, it's so sucking, but I don't know what I want to do, I don't know what's my next step. That is not a good space to be in. And I was in there for a long time. Afterwards, when I reflect, I was in that space for years. And that's another reason I share my story, so other people, they don't have to get stuck in a situation they don't like for any unnecessary time, a length of time. It doesn't mean you quit your job. Maybe it is, but it's got to be coming from your heart. So the number one thing is to connect with yourself, connect with your own truth, so you know what is your next step to take.
I love how gratitude was that propeller of transformation in yourself. That's definitely a common thread throughout a lot of my episodes, and it comes up naturally. I don't actually ask questions around gratitude. It just seems to be a natural part of the leaders I interview. Gratitude is a regular part of their lives, whether they keep a gratitude journal or they have, daily affirmations or statements that they think about at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day. So I think that's really cool that you were able to have that reflection and that your friend was able to uncover that for you.
Can I share with you something really cool?
Yeah, yeah.
Right before I hop onto this interview, guess what I was doing? My gratitude journal.
Speaking
So
of
do you
which,
mind brought it up? Yes, gratitude is powerful.
that's wonderful, and I so obviously empathy is a common thread throughout your journey, as we mentioned at the beginning of this conversation. I'm a firm believer that empathy catalyzes change and transformation in individuals, in groups. It really is a powerful force for change. How did you see that play out in your own journey in your own life?
Nowadays, throughout all of the studies I've done about transformation, metaphysics, self awareness, awareness in others, I came to the realization that I'm more aware of my own empathy and I'm more intentionally practice empathy in my work because it's a very important part of my work. As a life coach, is something that is so fundamentally important, in my opinion. As a good coach, if you want to truly support your clients well, it's one fundamental skill set. It is one fundamental thing to understand. Way back then, the stories I've shared, I now looking back, reflecting back, I was very much engaged with empathy, just not consciously. I had always been a very caring person. I always just, and that's my part of my nature. I was not intentional with my empathy because I didn't know it's a thing. Nowadays, I can be very conscious and intentional with the way I connect with myself, with others through this noticer. I believe we are all connected with this one source. Even though we have our own identity, we have our own different physiques, this earth suit that we're wearing, having this earth journey, yet energetically, we are all connected to the one source. And that one source allow us to connect to this one source of empathy. That's exactly the reason you're able to brought up gratitude journal. We full transparency. We never talk about this. Like you said, Rebecca, you didn't bring up gratitude. It's just naturally we both just being guided by the same wisdom. And in addition, you talked about gratitude journaling. Because I didn't tell you, by the way, I just finished my gratitude journal. And for us to have this conversation, this is the power of connectivity. We're all connected. There's no division. Yes, there are 8 billion people on the planet Earth, yet in the eyes of the infinite, in the eyes of the universe, that is a very, very teeny tiny thing. We're all connected to the one energy. It is very important continuously in my life as I am as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter. My parents are here as well. I sponsor them to be immigrate to Canada. And as a coach, as a client myself, because I have coaches too, because I know I have toilet paper that I cannot see of my own.
We all do.
I want people to pull it out for me. And all of those different roles we play, yet we are all connected. The more we are truly be able to connect it, the more we can truly come from love. That is when we make this world a better place. It sounds really grand. Whoa, let's make the world a better place. I truly believe that. By us being the best we can be, we are making the world a better place. So it's everything. To sum it up, it's everything.
Yeah. No, I love that you mentioned the power of human connection because there really is an energy, a force, an energy force that connects us that we can't see. It's not tangible, but it really pulls people together. It's like a magnetic field. So, I mean, just to wrap up the conversation and to provide one like key piece of advice for maybe someone who is currently sitting in their car about to shed some tears and wondering, I don't even know where to start. How do you, because you had mentioned that you were able to, once you had that mindset shift, you were able to then automatically start attracting people who led you down that authentic path. So, talking about that field of energy that brings people together who just happen to talk about gratitude journals. How were you able to do that? How were you able to then align with people who were also aligned with your authentic self, who then helped kind of carry you down the right path rather than the path that you should take in quotations?
Exactly, exactly. I always say, let's not shoot ourselves. And that is a quote I'm borrowing from one of my clients. That's exactly how I support my clients as well. Is the first thing is to make a decision, is to make a decision to change. Here's the thing, you don't need to know. You don't need to have a plan. You don't need to know exactly what is your next step. You just make that no matter what decision. I know I have more and I'm unleashing it. Something is changing. I got to change. Period. That is no matter what decision. That decision allow you to start to think differently. Believe it or not, because suddenly part of your mind is open up to what we're changing. What are we looking for? And those ideas will start to percolating in your mind and you will engage in very different conversations with other people. Second way, by the way, I'm sharing is literally this how I support all of my clients. It's a transformational system. There is a system. The second way is ask yourself this question: if anything is possible, 3 years from now, what I live my dream life. Let's dream big. What does that look like? A lot of people have never been asked this question. It's all coming from what's logical. Or you're a dietitian 3 years from now, you're working as a dietitian. Good for you. Yeah, let's break logic. Let's just really coming from your heart. One of my friends, when I asked him this question way back when I first got certified and learned this system, I asked him, well, what do you love? And he has a PhD in chemical engineering. He works for Imperial Oil, which is the biggest oil company on the planet Earth. And his dream when he said it is to live in Toronto, downtown Toronto, and work as a fashion designer. That was his dream.
Wow.
But he was able to say it. A lot of people never even allow this idea to come to light. You must give yourself permission to at least say it. That is a spark in your life. That is, and you put it on a piece of paper. And then from that place, you ask yourself, what is mine to do? What are some of the action steps I can take from where I am? Let's say, using my friend as an example, it's not, he still loved his job by all means. He makes really good money, yet his dream is not that. It's
Yeah.
not oil, it's a fashion designer. Okay, what can I do? Maybe I can take a fashion design course. That's what he could do with from where he was. Or maybe I can even just start to do a little video about how I dress. He's a very sharp dresser, very great taste in fashion. So I can see exactly where he's come. But thank every single person, every single listener, you can do something right now that gives you this life juice. If you love fishing, book a fishing tour right now. Like book a trip to do that. If you love oil painting, paint a little thing right now today. That is what you can do. The more you do that, the more spark will come from within you. You keep doing that before you know it. You're like, wow, look at my life. This is awesome. And I cannot believe I'm here. Yes, believe that. That's transformation. That's a universal law.
I love that. And I'm just going to share just a personal example because what you were laying out just reminds me so much of the journey that I went through and the transformation I went through in case it helps anyone who's listening to Lynn speak right now. When I launched this podcast, I didn't sit around thinking, I don't know, I'm not good at this. I'm not experienced. I should probably take a course on podcasting or read some books first. I literally just launched the thing.
Yes.
I found Riverside. I'm like, okay, I'm going to use Riverside. Literally within 2 weeks of having the idea of, I need to get the message of workplace empathy out in the world. And podcasting seems to be the most impactful medium. within two weeks later, I launched it and I recorded my first episode, and it was probably pretty crappy. The first episode was probably really rough, and there were glitches, and it wasn't perfect. And they always say, get out the shitty first draft, like whatever
Yes,
whatever that thing is that you're trying to do. But I love your message of just do it. Take that first step, because you know what? The transformation happens as you're doing it, as you're taking those baby steps. Because you know what, at 6 months later into the podcasting, as I was thinking I was going back into corporate, I became afraid of having to get rid of my podcast to go to a corporate job. And so then I was coming out ahead in that journey of, is this really my authentic path? And that's when I just stopped. I'm not going back into corporate. This podcast needs to become something bigger.
that was a decision. That was no matter what decision.
But it didn't happen right away.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think
Those
that's the point
decisions
you're
are
trying to make, right, Lynn? Like,
yes,
start now.
yes,
You have no idea. This guy who wanted to be a fashion designer, he doesn't know what his future looks like. Maybe he will be a fashion designer one day, or maybe he'll be on YouTube just doing really cool videos and he gets a huge following. Like, we don't know what that outcome is going to be, but him just starting by creating his first video and just putting it out there to the world, that's his first step towards his transformation, right?
exactly, exactly. So decisions are always along the way. And I love you mentioned baby steps. The road to the top of Mount Everest is formed by baby steps. Nobody just take one gigantic leap from the base camp all the way to the top. It's all baby steps. And very often without the next step, we don't know what is our direction, what is the view. Logically, do we trust this higher power, call it God, call it infinite universe, whatever it is? We're still breathing. The universe has your back. I know it's not an easy thing. It took me years. So I'm still continuously to grow my own faith. That's why I have coaches too. And I support my clients to part of our work we do is trust the process. Trust it's all going to work out. At times, that is the most challenging thing. And if you're willing to trust, then that is when you live the best life you can ever imagine.
What a powerful message. Because I feel like we're oftentimes just wanting to feel in control of things. So
Yes.
we try to control the process. So yeah, just being able to let go and say, hey, let's just let this naturally flow, and my path will pave itself. And I just need to trust that it will all work out, just like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Lynn, for
My
these words of
pleasure.
wisdom. Really, your energy is so vibrant. And it's not just because you have a really vibrant background that I've been staring at for the last 45 minutes, which is just fantastic. But your energy is palpable. And I hope that my listeners today really were able to gain some of that energy that you were sharing with the world during this conversation. And yeah, hopefully we have a few people who are going to walk away and take their first step towards
Yeah.
transformation.
Absolutely. All that requires is a one first baby step. That's all it is. And thank you so much, Rebecca, for providing this platform to allow people to discover whatever is coming from their heart, whatever is their own empathy and their own journey. So thank you so much for having me here too.
It's a pleasure. So if people want to find out about you and your coaching business, where should they go?
You can go check out on my website, Enlightened Success, spelled all out.com. Reach out, send me an email, give me a call. I'm an open book. I love human potential. Any opportunity, any conversation. I will go to Starbucks. Sometimes I will start talking about dreams and vision possibility with the baristas. That's what I love.
If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to hear more, please subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And if you would like to learn more about the Empathy Collective, check out our website, theempathycollective.com. Life is too short. Let's take care of each other at work so that together we can make this world a better place.